Hi everyone, what will happen in the second episode of the amazing digital circus? I would like to debate some theories with you and find out what will happen to some of the characters in the upcoming episode. It's extremely interesting, so make sure to watch the entire video. Let's go! I want to start out by talking about Jax from the first episode of the show. We recall Jax as being a joker, but in the worst possible sense of the word, a little harsh and uncompromising. Jax will still be introduced to us in the second episode as an anti-hero who doesn't give a damn about the lives or mental health of the other circus performers. I believe he will bully everyone as well, but eventually he will learn that certain characters shouldn't act in that manner and begin to gradually make amends. However, it won't take long because it's difficult to switch to a different way of thinking if you've spent your entire life with one. After all of his so-called jokes, I feel that Jax will be left alone in the upcoming episode. Since very few people will want to talk to him in the context of loneliness, Jax is willing to do whatever it takes to get attention so he can either close in on himself or, on the other hand, step it up. Given that Jax is essentially a minor character, it is unlikely that his tale will take any significant turns. I now want to discuss Klinger, who, despite appearances, is one of the K characters that live in the Circus. I demonstrated in one of my videos that Klinger is the Circus character with the longest tenure out of all the current cast members. Leaving aside, of course, is Kane. Throughout the pilot episode, we frequently saw that he was already beginning to lose his mind in the second episode. I believe that pattern will continue. I believe that both the immediate and long-time death of a loved one provides Klinger a more comprehensive understanding of the world around him. King, in my opinion, has long since realized that one can escape this circus by using the very exits that occasionally appear in the performance. On the one hand, since I already mentioned that Pomone and Kane are administrators, we may presume that they appear at their discretion. This allows Pomone to simply build exits even though she isn't aware of it yet. Alternatively, just as in any digital system, there can be a bug in Amazing Digital Circus that leads the characters to inadvertently open an exit to the physical world rather than the virtual one. This brings us back to Klinger. There might be a bug like that in the upcoming episode, and Klinger will see an attempt to get in. He will pass out and remain in the vacuum just like Pomone did in the pilot episode. However, as is well known, the character who has been in the void is nonetheless fully aware of everything that occurred to him there, even when he is unconscious. As usual, Kane will receive a notice on his crazy watch, but Klinger will be greatly impacted by the whole thing becoming even more unstable. Klinger will now begin discussing a solution, even though he understood how to get out of the blasted circus. We all remember how he made fun of Kofmo for that. Klinger vulnerability and sense of loss increases with every scene he experiences, culminating in his ultimate spiral into lunacy, and we are all aware of what comes next. Klinger will eventually vanish from the view of the other circus patrons. Then, just like with Kaufman, he'll be discovered in his room, covered in a bizarre mixture of inscriptions and artwork. Furthermore, I have little doubt that one of these drawings will feature a menacing depiction of Kane, this time pursuing Kinga. Kinga will transform into a monster, and Kane will lock him and the other dispersed members of the digital circus in the basement. Unfortunately, Kinga's story in the Amazing Digital Circus is most likely over at that point. It's time to discuss Pomni now. After all, we shall all devote our full attention to covering her narrative unlike any other. I have no doubt that Pomni will persevere in her search for a way out despite all of the setbacks in the digital circus pilot episode. At first, she'll probably play it casual, seeming as though she loves everything about this place and isn't even considering leaving, but as we now know, Pomni's mental health wasn't the best, and she began to experience issues in the pilot episode, and the conflict between composure and terror will initially be seen in the second episode. However, Pomni will eventually begin to remember all of the strange things that happened to her as the terror fades. Similar to how Agatha claimed that only a Kane could heal herself, she was able to heal her own hand. Alternatively, the unobserved leaves. However, she frequently sees them. After giving it some thinking, Pomone understands that she can also act as the administrator and take charge of this circus. Then her tale with the rug off starts, which will make them understand how to make escapes and that this is a feasible means of escape. They start to purposefully cause chaos so that none of the creatures Kane made can handle the situation, and it will be necessary for Kane to step in. At this time, Pomni and Agatha will be able to turn off the void intrusion alerts and temporarily take Kane's crazy clock. They will be able to cross into the vacuum as a result, but eventually Kane will discover this and begin to pursue them. He'll have no trouble getting his rights back. It won't be as simple with Pomone, though, and just before the very end, Pomone notices the VR helmet that will enable her to go back to the outside world. The second episode of Amazing Digital Circus comes to a conclusion when Kane meets her. The most intriguing individuals and their outcomes in the upcoming episode have been discussed. Don't rush to end this film, though, since we're about to discuss some fascinating theories behind the incredible digital circus. And let's speak a little bit about Cosmo and Pomni. The idea that these two characters were related to one another persisted in my mind each time I saw the Amazing Digital Circus pilot episode. As I studied the episode more thoroughly, I became aware of several of the similarities that had previously led me to think Pomone and Sifmo were the same individual. Together, let's investigate this further. Sifmo was scheduled to meet us in the beginning, but for some reason he wasn't at the circus, and Pomone follows straight after him. You could assume that everyone knows this, but dig a little further. There has always been a clown as the emblem of every circus. Occasionally it might be a harlequin or a jester, but the concept remains the same. Pompey is the jester and Sifmo is the clown. Pompey notices odd visuals as soon as he enters the digital circus, among them a door that leads out of the incredible digital circus. Additionally, CFMO has consistently stated that he sees an exit and has informed others of this, but just like Pompey, he is not taken seriously. Given that Kane is the circus administrator and hence accountable for anything that occurs there, it is not unexpected that he can see a route out. Furthermore, because the circus is digital, Kane is the only one who can build anything in it. Since none of the show's characters have ever seen or heard of an exit, only a select few will be able to use this talent, and they most definitely won't be the residents of a circus. It's not over yet, but this, among other things, supports my opinion that Pomni and Kaufmo are the same guy. It was observed that the creature that Sifmo had transformed into initially attacked, right? Although at first this monster was almost impoverished, for some reason he just gazed, but he probably centered and knew this was the inhabitant he was meant to be. It seems that during the creation of the monster illusion, Kane reprograms them with the memories of their former master and instructs them to act merely as pretenders rather than as actual attackers. However, we will also discuss monsters in a later section. Recall that CFMO was discussing video exits, thus it's likely that he entered the building like Pompey, and it was just at that desk that Kaufmo stepped into the circus. But regrettably, Kane was unable to flee because that was how he arrived to Kaufmo. The only evidence of Kane destroying CFMO and making him reincarnate as a charming clown girl was that desk. However, on sometimes the recollection of the shell is overpowered by Cosmo's old memory, and he recalls a number of events, including the incident by the desk. Lastly, I want to discuss with you the friendliest and most endearing figure in this incredible digital circus, Regatta. She genuinely strives to assist all of the newcomers to the digital circus, as we have all seen. Sadly, though, it's clear to see that Agatha is only wearing this as a mask to save herself from becoming nuts if you look closely. Indeed, it's evident from Parmley and Rugosa's talk that her tone instantly shifts to one of fear and strangeness as soon as Rogoff begins to reveal the reality about the internet circus. Maybe we are sort of. Agatha Kaufman had endured years of humiliation and bullying at the hands of Kane, but she overcame it and convinced Kane that she was unaffected by the events surrounding her. Thank you very much for watching this interesting video. Please write in the comments what you think about part 2. What will happen next? I like to read them by